Hi everyone, my name is Dong Yi Hang, student from PCNS. The topic of this video is file system. Then, I would like to introduce my group member and their roles in the group. There are 4 members consist of this group, which is Ong Yifan. He will in charge of part 1A, Dei Yishen and Tan Wei Zuo. They will in charge of part 2A, and me, Dong Yi Hang. My role in this group is in charge of part B, which is create, design, and edit of this video. Now, I will proceed to the content of this video. In this video, first, we will give some introduction about the file system. Next, we will discuss on 3 types of file system, which is NTFS, ext4, and APFS file system. We will discuss on their feature, strength, and weakness of each type of file system. After this, we will proceed to the conversion of file system, and the last is the conclusion part. Now, let us begin with the introduction part. File system is very important for the computer's data storage to have a better organization and accessibility of individual files. The file system can separate the data into parts and give each part a name to make the data is easily identified and isolated. If not, the stored data will not be isolated into individual files and will be very difficult to identify and retrieve. There are many types of file systems. With the different operating systems, the file system that suit them also different. For example, FAT, FAT32, and NTFS belongs to Windows, ext 2, 3, and 4 for Linux, and HFX, HFX Plus, and APFX for Mac OS. Next, I will proceed to introduce the first type of file system, which is NTFS file system. NTFS file system is known as New Technology File System. This system was developed by Microsoft and was first introduced in 1993. It is more powerful than the previous version of file system, such as FAT and FAT32, due to its additional feature. NTFS file system was designed to improve upon FAT by increasing the performance, reliability, and disk space to replace the FAT file system. It will be divided the total physical hard disk space into partitions or major division, and the OS will keep track of all the files that are stored by the OS within each partition. Now, we talk about the strengths. NTFS can support very large files. Secondly, it has different file permission and encryption, like NTFS allows user to set specific permissions to the files or folder. Not only that, it can compress the file when the disk space is almost running out to optimize disk usage. Lastly, it is more reliable, having higher performance and more compatible with operating system back to Windows XP than the older version of file system. There are few weaknesses for the NTFS file system. The first weaknesses of NTFS is it is not always compatible to Mac and Android. For example, it can only be read but not allowed to write by Mac unless with the help of third-party software. Then, NTFS is only supported in the nice environment. It is not accessible to older technology due to its modern capacity. Lastly, NTFS does not include a system for ensure the performance and bandwidth to the file system, which can tell the problem to some users. Next, I will proceed to introduce the second type of file system, which is ext4 file system. The next file system is a journaling file system, and it is for Linux operating system, which is called ext4 journaling file system, or Fort Extended File System. ext4 mainly improves the performance, reliability, and the capacity. ext4 allows an unlimited number of subdirectories compared to its previous version ext3, which only has a maximum number of subdirectories contained in a single directory, which is 32,000. Next is the strengths and the weaknesses of ext4 file system. Firstly, in ext4, users can use different disks or loans and have a better performance. The performance of the databases will be enhanced because of it allow user can have the transaction log on storage and the data files on another. After that, users can use different mark options to increase the security. Other than that, the fragmentation of one partition is independent of the other, so that each partition will not interfere one another. Lastly, users can have encryption on specific volume. Now are the weaknesses of ext4 file system. The first weaknesses of ext4 is it grows the administration overhead. Next, more disk space wastage will occur in a higher possibility. Not only that, it uses more resources and more frequently face the disk full. Lastly, once the users update their file system from ext3 to ext4, then it will be not able to go back to ext3 again. According to kernel newbies, there is a way to do this, but most of the advantages and features of ext4 will lose. Now, I will proceed to introduce the last type of file system, which is APFX file system. This APFX file system is known as Apple file system. It is the latest technology in macOS High Sierra. APFX runs on Mac and all Apple devices, even the Apple Watches. APFX is the next generation file system for the Apple devices. It has more new features than the older generation file system, and it used to replace the HFS Plus file system. The first strength of APFX is it can increase speed. Secondly, the APFX file system can prevent the crash nicely. Next, it also can help to back up the data more efficiently. Lastly, it can do very well in saving the space because of its space sharing features. For example, when user partition a disk, the size of a volume is not pre-allocated and it is flexible. It will make a container that with the volume inside, and the volume share the free space inside the container. So two volumes may have different size depends on their data size. The first weakness is it cannot be supported by all the OS X or older Sierra version of macOS. Secondly, the data recovery function of APFX is more complicated than the HPS Plus due to the software might not be able to recognize the file system. Lastly, the last weaknesses of this file system cannot be read and write on other operating systems except the macOS 10.13 or later versions. Now, we will proceed to the part of conversion of the file system. There are several ways to convert the file system recently. The first method we will discuss are conversion of file system from FAT32 to NTFS file system. There are 4 ways to convert the file system from FAT32 to NTFS. The first ways are using Windows Explorer. The second way is use a disk management utility. This way has slightly same procedures with the Windows Explorer such as click Format, select System option, and then click OK. They are just different in interface and use of the software. The next way is to type in the convert command in CMD which shown in the video. But we need administration right on the computer to perform this. This conversion, unlike the formatting, it can keep the complete file. The fourth way is with a mini tools partition wizard. These ways also come with the data loss prevention during the conversion. Here is a step of conversion of file system from FAT32 to NTFS through Windows Explorer method. We just need to open it and right-click on the partition that we want to convert to NTFS, then click the format. After that, a new window will pop out and let user to choose the capacity, file system, and so on. Next, press the start button, then the system will start formatting the partition to NTFS file system. Next, the second to talk about is the conversion of ext2 and ext3 to ext4. This is quite easy to do. Users have to make sure the kernel version that they are using is 2.6.28 or later, and have a current live CD or DVD of a modern Linux distribution. After that, user become root first, then type in the command which I shown in the video. There are 2 types of command. The first type is for the conversion of ext2 to ext4 file system, while the second type is for the conversion of ext3 to ext4 file system. After the conversion is done, use the command which I showed in the video to check the whole file system for problems. After the problem checking is done and no error occur, then start mounting the file system. Adjusting the file system table and the group bootloader is needed to work with the converted file system. Mount it with the command as I shown in the video. Next, edit the abstract file and change any reference of ext3 or ext2 to ext4. Third, open Nano Editor and change the string ext2 or ext3 to ext4. After saving and closing the editor, user can start upgrading the group by using the command update group or group install /dev/sda. Lastly, we will reboot the Linux operating system. The last method is how to convert to APFS. First is convert a hard drivers to APFS on macOS High Sierra. To convert a hard drivers to APFS on macOS High Sierra, user have to boot into recovery mode, then go to this utility, click Edit, afterward, and then click Convert to APFS. Lastly is convert an external hard drive to APFS on macOS High Sierra. First, go to the Disk utility, select external drive, later on, click Erase afterward, then choose APFS from the drop-down list, finally click Apply. Hence, convert the file system to another that doesn't belong to the operating system is impossible. For example, using ext4 in Windows on macOS and using APFS in Windows or Linux. There are a few different situations. The first situation is some file systems are allowed to read or write in some of the operating systems. The second situation, some file systems can only be read but not allowed to write. The third situation is some of them are totally cannot be used in some operating system. Next, some of them might be allowed to read and write, but must use a third-party software to perform. Now, this table has shown the characteristics for NTFS, ext4, and APFS file system. As you can see, performance for NTFS, ext4, and APFS file system is increased when they compare to previous version. Next, for the maximum file size, NTFS can have 16 EB. ext4 can have 16 TB with 4 KIB block size, and for APFS is 2 exponential 63 bytes. Moreover, NTFS has provide space saving, better security than older OS, and also a location block pre-allocated. For the ext4, it does not have space saving but has better security than older OS and also a location block pre-allocated. For the APFS, it also has space saving and also have a better security than older OS, but it does not have a location block pre-allocated. For NTFS file system, it provides availability read and write in Windows XP 7, 8, and 10, and also Ubuntu Linux. But for the macOS 10.6.4 and 5, it only provides read only. For ext4, it is not availability for Windows XP and macOS. For the Windows 7, 8, and 10, it needs the help of third-party software. But for Ubuntu Linux, it can provide the availability for read and write. For the APFS, it is not availability for Windows and Ubuntu Linux, and also macOS 10.6.4, but it can provide availability for read and write only for the 10.13 or later version of macOS. In conclusion, every type of file system has its feature, strength, and weaknesses. The three file systems mentioned above are different, but with a same purpose, which is to better control how the data store and retrieve. The best choice to choose which file system to use is to follow the native OS that the file system belongs to. This can ensure the performance of the file system. Next, there are a few things we have learned from this final assignment. Firstly, after completing the assignment, we are able to compare and contrast between the storage system used by the Windows, Linux, and macOS operating system. Besides that, we are also able to describe the distributed system and provide an example for distributed system. We are able to decide when and where to use which file system by consider their feature, strength, and weaknesses. For example, we choose NTFS for the Windows system drive, ext4 for Linux system drive, and APFS for macOS system drive. Lastly, we are also able to relate distributed system to security threat including worm and distributed denial of service, which is DDoS. However, we also face some challenges while completing the final assignment. The first challenges are unable to compare the storage system of different operating systems at first. We also are unable to relate the distributed system to security threats including worm and distributed denial of service, which is DDoS. Thank you for watching the video. That is all from us. Thank you.